It's like as humans, our focus, our priorities, everything has slid so far off base somehow and into a world of possibilities. But how much of it is actually grounded in anything real, in anything that's truly needed from a connected perspective? It is incredibly little. And a lot, if not all, of the other stuff kind of needs to collapse. But it takes something. It takes an inner maturation to be able to come to that place where we stand like, I don't know if you can kind of feel it. It's like resting in a maturity where we can see what's actually going on here instead of using our consciousness to close in on a focus on our personal life, bouncing up against a world which is falling apart. It is kind of like we have willingly been putting on a blindfold where we just focus on our lives as a part of the world, but we don't really see what's actually going on then. We don't have that deeper pulse which comes with the deep connectivity and with the maturity of holding that inner wisdom, that inner connection to earth. And the beauty of holding that inner connection to earth is simply that, well, we have to pass through fear to get there. But when we are there, we are able to make inwardly informed decisions in terms of energy use, in terms of our actions, in terms of like a lot of what you're saying, like the old ways of thinking, feeling, they fall off because the old ways of thinking and feeling was geared towards the world, something which is crumbling, something which no longer can be in that play because the reality is completely different now. And I gotta say, when we come over, for one, it really, I mean, I'm bringing it up for a reason. The thing is, if we actually relate to what's going on, yes, first thing is, boff, that's scary for someone, right? Secondly, that uncertainty, that not knowing, to rest at the core of that requires one step up in terms of maturity. The next thing is to relate to the state of the world as a crumbling thing instead of this hope that things will get back to the old. There is no old anymore. Everything on a world level has gone so crazy towards control that it's such an integrity violation towards being itself that anyone who touches reality with one finger will simply feel the dissonance that's going on in a way that's going to call you straight into this seeing, straight into this feeling. And this is where we have to become fully conscious in the face of the fear so that we can pass any kind of freezing point. You know, because if it's something like we don't face reality, we focus on our personal life, me, my personal life, my finances, like, okay, if my stuff is okay, then everything is okay. That kind of lack of relating to what's actually, and it's not about hunting down, oh, what's now going on in the industrial, what's now going on in the financial system, what's now going on. It's not about the information, but it is something about sensibly feeling the shakiness of that bubble which we call world, which is that mental construct, but which we're all living by as that somebodiness, as these separate individuals. And the beauty of the fact that it has to kind of collapse all of that imagined individuality to come into a realness of true individuality, which is based on the basic connection that we're all basically rays from the same sun, right? That black sun of being. And to move from one to the other, we need to grow up. You really need to grow up. But there's a great beauty in it. And the part of waiting until the last moment to actually relate to what's going on, that's going to create a shock. It's going to create a friction, which is for the ones who are basically avoiding to open their eyes, it's going to bring an edge, which is not good. That can cause too much pressure than, or more pressure than what the system can deal with. Yeah. So basically relating to things now from a place of deep relaxation, the rooting in being, the way that that meditation just invited to you to, you know, the rooting in that joy, and from that place relating to a world which is at a very challenging place, and relating to it with sensibility, relating to it with responsibility, and in a way which starts prioritizing what matters and what doesn't matter. Yeah. And of course, the surrender that you're talking about, of letting the natural catastrophe, or whatever you said, the natural disaster happen on the inside, of shedding all of the unneeded, all of the not serving anymore, all of the not up to date. That maturity really is inviting us into just a full seeing, a clarity where we can relax with what we see, instead of not being able to handle the fear of clear view, and therefore collapsing back into the separateness and the separate the separate individual, you know, the personal life which is disconnected from everything else.